Are you ready to take your investment game to the next level? Introducing Digital Investor, your ultimate guide to mastering the digital marketplace. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, Digital Investor brings you cutting-edge game theoretical strategies, expert insights, and real-time tips and tactics to analyze, evaluate, invest, and grow your wealth. Don't miss out on the digital revolution. Visit www.nickblacknex.com and start your journey with Digital Investor today.
All right. Let's see. That's better. Okay. Hello. Gotta get all our hellos in. Oh, hold on a minute. I got a text hello to you, hello. Sending links, doing all of this stuff, man. Okay. Let's see. Good morning. I should have a robot do this. I should have some AI do this. Morning. Good morning. Oh, crap, man. Philly, it's going to be 78 degrees. Well, that's what they say. So it's going to be around 80 degrees. Man, I love me some 80 degrees. What? Okay. Hello. Let's see. Hello. We're going to talk about cognitive bias today. Yep. We're going to talk about why Bitcoin spiked up all of the sudden. Phrases. Hello. No, I am sitting. I'm just kind of watching everything. I'm watching. Let's see. Hello. I mean, I'll tell you one move I might make. I might sell some of my early twin tokens to buy more hypercycle. I can say that. It's not advice. I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm just saying I might do that. I might sell twin tokens to buy hypercycle tokens because I'm trying to fill. I have to fill some master nodes. Hello. Morning. Hello. Dobro jutra. Hello. Buenos dias. Hello. Bam. Hello. Are you bothered by the Hughes fires? No, not near me. Luckily, I'm kind of like close to 405 and 101, but then I'm on the east side of 405, and I'm up we have our own hill. We got our own hill. So yeah. Hello. Does it sound like? Why does it do that? Oh, there we go. I was like, it got so quiet, and then it's back. And hello. Okay, we did it. Do you still train? Yes, I do. And my buddy, he was in town for about a week. He just left. He'll be back. Shannon Rich, his kind of claim to fame, among other things, is he has more MMA fights than any other human that is alive. It's some ungodly number, and he's also the bare knuckle boxing world champion right now, like in the heavyweight division. Think about that for a second. Bare knuckle boxing as a heavyweight. You want to talk about those? God dang, I bet that is painful. I will not be doing that. But I am going to do an interview with. I think I'm doing a podcast with Tyrone Woodley. If any of you guys follow MMA stuff, so yeah, I think we're working on that right now. We're like squaring that all the way. That'll be kind of fun because he's into crypto too. But that'll be produced by there's a guy I know named Ty who's a really good producer. So he's going to produce that. That'll be kind of fun. And then you know who else is into crypto? Rashad Evans. He's super into crypto. There's a lot of people. It's surprising how many MMA people are getting into the crypto space. Well, I mean, everybody will be put into the crypto space one way or another, because then we won't call it crypto. It'll just be the way business is done. It will be. Is it up top? Ooh, it looks like I'm a Terminator because the one thing is catching the sunlight. Terminator. Hello. Okay, let's do this. Why don't we talk real quick? You guys, I don't know if you guys saw. I can go show it. Let me do a couple of things. One, let me go over to a little bit soothing price action type thing. Okay, Bitcoin had bounced. I'll show you. See that? Whoa, man. Boom. See those bounces? Those not quite natural, those preternatural bounces off of the floor of 101 and change. So we're back in the 105s. And again, this is why you can't overly laser eye focus on Bitcoin because it can move really far, really fast. And yeah, so just be careful that you don't fixate on it. But essentially, here's what's going down. Let me pull that article up. Normally I have the articles on a separate little thing, but today I'm going to handhold it. Okay, BT price whipsaws to 106,000 or about as U.S. Strategic Reserve rumors return. Woo! And then we're going to talk about bad USD at some point. But yes, BTC price volatility returns with a vengeance as Senator Cynthia Lummis leaks a cryptic 10 a.m. announcement. 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Which 10 a.m.? I ask. Cynthia Lummis leaked a 10 a.m. announcement. Bitcoin faced a snap volatility spike at the January 23rd Wall Street Open amid fresh rumors that the U.S. will announce a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Lummis teases big things, but leaves some details missing. So the sudden, let's see. I'm trying to go through all the nonsense so that you guys don't have to you guys have to absorb the bullshit of these articles. Data from Cointelegraph, Markets Pro, and TradingView showed that BTC USD took a tour of its short-term range and gained $4,000 before retracing. It says it retraced most of the move, but as we can see, it did not retrace most of the move. That is the move. Sometimes the people that write these articles, I think they write them as things are happening and just guess. They're like, well, the price will likely come back down. Therefore, the other one, do you guys remember last week we were reading an article and the article said this will turn out really bad for crypto. And the market was just going straight up. Like these guys just really misread. Oh, it was the jobs number. They misread the jobs numbers, or they didn't CPI. They misread. I guess they misunderstood CPI. They're like, this crypto is cooked. And it just went straight up. Like everybody made money. Because the people that were writing the article don't understand CPI. Anyway, which is not a surprise. Okay. The surge accompanied a tweet from Wyoming Senator Cynthia Lummis, author of a dedicated Bitcoin reserve bill, who hinted that the U.S. would announce something pertinent to crypto markets at 10 a.m. I just don't know which 10 a.m. Big things are coming. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Loomis did not speculate or stipulate which time zone the news will be made from, with President Donald Trump scheduled to speak at 11 a.m. Eastern, which would be about now, right? At the World Economic Forum in Davos. So there we go. We'll see. We'll see. But she wrote big things coming and put those little eyeball emojis. So sources indicated, including Fox Business journalist Eleanor Terrett. I'm sure she's quite proper. She had said that Loomis could also become chair of the U.S. House Financial Services Subcommittee on Digital Assets, Financial Technology, and Inclusion. Dear God, what kind of a title is that? I am the FSSDODAFTI. Sidifati. I'm the Sidifati. Are you the acting Sidifati? I am the Sidifati. Anyway, subject to a vote being held an hour before Trump's appearance, Terrett added that it was unclear if anything else would be announced after Trump failed to mention Bitcoin, crypto, or a reserve involving them during his inauguration speech, which of course he wasn't. BTC price action took a turn for the worse. I don't know what people are looking at sometimes. I mean, price is 105. It's been floating between 100, 105, 106. The all-time high was only 108 and change. So it's like, oh, it's like 2% away from its all-time high. Bitcoin's not been doing well. What are people smoking? I guess people, they too get sticker shock. These journalists don't understand that $1,000 here or there in an asset that's $105,000, it's nothing. Like, I don't know, man. People are dumb. People dumb. Anyway, let's see. Reacting, popular industry commentators only speculate on what was to come. Popular pundit Whale Panda went as far as to suggest that the cryptic nature of Loomis' ex-post constitutes market manipulation. No, it doesn't, you jackwagon. These guys, man. If your name is Whale Panda, I assure you, you're not rich. No one would name themselves that unless they were just inordinately fat. Let's see. Odds of Trump creating the reserve within his first 100 days in office at Polymarket rebounded to 40%. Okay, he can't create it. He can enact a group to study it and to look at the legal ramifications of doing it. He can't. No different than he could tell every one of us we all get $1 million, or he's going to give everyone chocolate chip cookies. Like, okay, he can endeavor to initiate some scheme that would do XYZ, but he can't just do XYZ with a pen. There's certain things he can go to war. He can go to war. He can go to war for sure. He could say, I'm going to war unless we do a Bitcoin reserve. People are like, oh, that's good. I don't even know who we go to war with. But we go to war with somebody, Switzerland, because they never expect it. Anyway, Bitcoin liquidations mount as traders are shaken out. Bitcoin, meanwhile, liquidated short positions on its trip too high. Oh, I bet a lot of people got racked. In that little run, that little spike from 101 to 105, a lot of people got wrecked. And so anyway, yeah, cool, man. I mean, don't be so stupid. Jesus. Just don't be so stupid. These people that take leverage, I almost want to interview them. I want to interview people that take leverage. Like, okay, buddy. Okay, so you want to play with leverage in the most volatile space that's ever existed, the most appreciative asset in human history, and your dumbass wants to short it with leverage? Oh, 120x leverage. Oh, got it. Okay, cool. How's that worked out? Oh, that's right. you work for Lyft, and then when you're not working for Lyft, you work for Uber. Why? Because you're broke, bro. Because you gamble. Because you're an idiot. It's all these $20 and $30 idiots. I mean, that's only marginally better than meme coins. If you're gonna throw your money away, might as well throw your money away on a meme coin. Well, I don't know. It's all stupid. But you never know. Let's see. The USDC supply just crossed 50 billion market cap for the first time since 2022. Well, here's to you, USDC, being a good stable coin. Well done. Okay. Again, it's just about, we don't have anything for sure, but it's just rumors. It's all rumors until we know better. Okay. Let me outline what bad USD is. So you guys remember we were looking at the debt clock. Why don't we, let me pull up US debt clock. Look, it's the first, if I put US, the debt clock is the next thing that comes up. Isn't that funny? All right, come on. Ready? Boy, I guess so many people are looking at it. Maybe debtclock.org. Whoa. Go on then. Do you think there could be so many people looking at the debt clock that the debt clock is dead? Debt clock is down. The debt clock is down. Well, that's weird. Anyway, I'll wait till the spinning wheel stops. Maybe we can't see. Maybe they're hiding the debt clock. No one can see the debt clock. Anyway, we got about 36 trillion and change in U.S. debt. The debt for each taxpayer, the debt owed, meaning, if you're a taxpayer, you just owe this. You owe it, is 300. Really? How can the debt clock not be accessible? That's like the thing. That's like the whole thing. Let's see if there's another one. It's crazy. I guess they don't want us to look at no debt. So each taxpayer owes about $323,000. That's what you already owe just for existing. Congratulations, you exist, you owe. Well, we're creating, and we talked about this a few years ago, but we didn't enact it. We're creating bad USD. Bad USD, one could consider it a meme coin. I would assume, since this is the inverse of money, it has a negative value. Don't buy this. All you old gambler, don't buy this thing. We're going to give it to you. We will give you it. Everybody that has a Node Market NFT will get it for free. You'll just be able to claim it. 320, whatever the actual number of debt is, that many currency units of bad USD, you will get it. Every time we get a jobs number, we're going to burn tokens. Every time we get any number at all, any government number at all, we're going to burn it. We burn it. Things burn. They're going to burn a lot. What is this? Why does the music app keep popping up? Isn't that weird? Does anybody else have that problem? I don't know. Anyway. So every month, when we see how many new currency units have been added to the U.S. debt as it continues to stack in real time, we're going to burn that many new tokens. So we are going to go. It's going to be a singularly deflationary asset. Does that make sense? So every time the U.S. adds $1 of debt, we will burn a bad USD. We're not going to burn your tokens. And then we'll do all sorts of cool things with it where you'll be able to move around in and out. We'll create liquidity pools. We'll do so that you can learn how to bang tokens around and do all these kind of exotic things without it costing you money, right? Like that's like the main thing. We don't want it to cost you guys currency units, but also it's a good way to kind of educate on all of the huge mess that we are living in and around debt and the constant creation of currency units. So, you know, that's what bad USD is. Now, we are, I am one of the central bankers. Brandon is one of the central bankers. He's Tyrone Powell, and I am Mehmet Yellen. We're still looking for a Pelosi. We have to have someone on the inside doing sketchy stuff. So we're still looking for our Pelosi. Maybe I'll get Nara to be Pelosi, Nara Pelosi. But anyway, yeah, we'll be doing that. So everybody will get that. It'll just be a claim. You'll claim it. Boom, it's yours. We're doing it on Solana for the simple reason that we just want it to be cheap. And if the network crashes, well, there's a lesson there too, isn't there? I like how the other day Solana was some of the devs from Solana were angry at Coinbase because they were saying, "Oh, you're blaming us for the network being slow, but it's really because a bunch of new people opened up wallets to buy the Trump coin, right?" But that's still you. That's still you failing as a network. Yeah, but it's not our fault. It's because of the coin. It is your fault, man. It is your fault. If your network crashes for any reason, it's the network's fault. Not Bob's fault. Not Brian Armstrong's fault. It's your fault. Anyway, there you go. Did I receive a secret pardon for the Uruguayan president incident? Yes. And I have that fork somewhere that I used. Okay. Meg Pelosi. Oh no, I don't know where she ever landed, Craig. That's a good question. Where did Meg land? She was great. She was the glue holding together all the mess that was Monday Morning Live, which is now dead. Monday Morning dead. Not Monday Morning not alive. Yes. So it is like playing with poker chips. But bad USD we will use it to teach you guys some things. Now, will people come in and speculate on it? Probably some degens at some point, but that's not the point of it is not to make any actual value. It will have value because everything has value. So yes, it will also have some value. But the main point of it is that it's going to be a cool educational experiment. And I think that's going to be cool. Let's see. Can't sign into the presentation again on the website. Well, you don't need to, buddy. You don't need to. You can just do it right here on YouTube. You don't need to sign into anything. Relax, guy. Relax, Frank. Breathe, buddy. Just breathe in the good. Breathe in the, what is it? My buddy had to say this. He had anger management classes. He was a lumberjack who got like violent at a bar. I mean, I would assume lumberjacks get violent at bars. I would assume that's part of being a lumberjack. Anyway, he thumped a few people, like a whole bar's worth of people. He's a big guy, and so he had to take anger management classes. He's this giant dude. This guy's giant, Pete, Big Pete, and he said they make me say these things. I'm like, what do they make you say, Pete? You don't want to provoke Pete. So they make me say, breathe in the mean green, or no, in with the mean green, out with the pastel pink. I was like, what? In with the mean green, out with the pastel pink. I said, I don't understand. And he's like, well, you're breathing in the bad energy, and you're breathing out the good energy or something like this. And I was like, that's not what it sounds like. I said, Pete, I know that they mean well, but that to me, that's the opposite. If I'm absorbing bad, doesn't that make me like a sin eater? Doesn't that make me like more bad? And then if I'm getting rid of the pastel pink, again, I don't know why that's what it is, but if I'm getting rid of the good, doesn't that just leave me net aggregate bad? Am I aggregate bad? In with the mean green, out with the past. I think it should be opposite. Anyway, he had to say that a lot. And he had to say it for hours, like a couple hours a week, for several months. So if you are a lumberjack in Wyoming, is it what? Yeah, Wyoming, somewhere. No. It was Billings, Montana. He was in Billings, Montana, and that's where he went into a bar and thumped a bunch of people. So if you're a lumberjack in Billings, Montana, in with the mean green, out with the pastel pink. Yeah, so, shit. Anyway, good for him. Okay, so anyway, Frank, in with the mean green and out with the pastel pink, buddy. Or just watch this right here and you're good. In with the good, out with it. See, that's what I thought. But then on the other side of it was out with the bad. That he's saying that you would go and punch more people because you would be exuding bad. Anyway, I don't know why that's related to bad USD, but anyway, what we're doing is we're doing two things. One, we're creating a purely deflationary asset, which only has one function. There will be no new bad USD. There will only be less and less. It will get burned, and we'll see how long it takes before it's zero. Before all that's left is what you guys own, which is kind of cool. And then we'll use it for an educational experiment, and we will be able to look at the effects of various, government policy, intervention, whatnots on debt. Just focus on the debt, because Bitcoin is a hedge against stupidity. And the stupidity, the basic, easy to describe stupidity is, I'll ask you guys, there's 147 people here. Do you think governments will stop printing money? You think that they will all stop and just function off the money that they collect in tax revenue and in various ways that governments earn money through debt markets, things like that, but that's repaid? Do you think governments will, on the aggregate, stop printing new money? No, I don't either. Now, in a global contraction, when the whole world contracts, we're in a contraction right now. We're in not a population contraction. That's another, you'd have to weigh that. But in a global economic, because the whole world is connected, in a global economic contraction, do governments stop printing money? I don't think so. Why? Because no government has ever stopped printing money. They always print money. That's all they do. I mean, for short periods of time, moments along the path. But that's what governments do. They print money. That's all they do. And if you think about go back to the very first government. You didn't just have tax money to spend because you didn't have government. You taxed people that were already using some benefits. So a government is established, you print first, then tax, then collect revenue, then pay back what you spent. This is the weirdness of this system. People don't realize, or I guess people need to realize, it's print first, pay later. Governments function off credit card fiscal policy. Does that make sense? Everybody understands that, right? It didn't start with taxes. It started with printing. Taxes is the way to get that currency, those currency units back and pay down that debt. And hopefully a government is the sum of a government's financial value is more than the price of its parts, so that there's some bonus, there's some excess, so that you could actually have more money than you started with. That doesn't really happen. It's mostly fiscal deficits, debt financing, debt spending, debt. It's credit card fiscal policy. So, which is why this whole spending ceiling stuff is so stupid, because it's already been spent. They're arguing about whether or not they're going to pay back the credit card. That's what all this, debt ceiling. What debt ceiling? Oh, we're not going to spend anymore. You already spent it. It's already been spent. You done spent it, bro. You're just deciding whether or not you're going to pay it back. Are we paying, honey? Honey, we paying back our credit cards this month? The answer is always no. The governments governments, not just the US, they never pay back their credit cards. Never, ever. They print. And then in some cases, smaller governments print, buy a bunch of stuff, basically through graft, greed, corruption, theft. Keep printing until the whole thing breaks. And what you do is, if you're on the inside, you print and you spend and you buy stuff pre-inflation. Then the currency units get out there and everybody gets the currency units. Now we have more currency units competing for the same amount of goods, and we get that always and everywhere monetary phenomenon known as inflation, right? More currency units fighting over the same amount or a more scarce amount of goods and services. If you have 10 eggs and you have $10, it's about $1 an egg. If you increase the money supply to $1,000, you now have $100 chasing each egg. Eggs maintain their level of scarcity, and if demand stays the same, eggs go up by 1,000%, a 10x, for no other reason than money supply increasing. If the bag of money gets bigger, it's more currency units fighting for those 10 eggs. If this is a consistent, always and everywhere scenario, an attenuated month on month, year on year scenario, that is inflation. Now, if I have 10 eggs and $10, and there's a political situation that arises where some skullduggery or cleverness puts some supply constraint on the eggs, or for a short time, everybody's given an extra $5. Well, then what happens is, for a short time, non-monetary reasons, for a short time, a supply shock, where there's either not enough eggs, or for a short time, the demand for eggs, the price increases because there's, for a short time, an extra amount of money that's not normal. Eggs go to $6 for a short period of time. Then those eggs are gone. Egg producers start producing way more eggs. Oh man, we got to keep up with the demand. Eggs are $6 now. The price of eggs rises, but the extra $6, the extra $5 is not a permanent thing. So now everybody's back to their normal incomes. Eggs are more expensive. There's tons of eggs. What happens? Oh, well, they're not selling any more eggs because there was a short-term supply shock with a demand pull for those eggs, but the money's gone. Those weren't permanent income increases. It was a one-time, like a transfer payment of the $5. So guess what? Now there's a bunch of extra eggs. Now you have to start discounting eggs. Oh, deflationary. Not really. We're just trying to get back to the trend. That's not inflation, right? There are moments of politically based or supply or demand based shock that can affect prices. And the greatest example of that is the oil market. Oil prices go up and down, and it's really rarely based on demand. If it was purely based on demand, oil would probably be $30 a gallon, maybe less. So it's not. And we've seen periods where oil was well over 100 and periods where it was less than zero in the same decade. So it's not like people stopped driving. You guys remember that a couple of years ago? I feel like it was in April. Anyway, a couple of years ago, oil it was below zero. And that's a whole other thing. It's actually a really interesting kind of microeconomics. It's macro that turned into a microeconomic weirdness because people sitting on physical contracts, people had bought a bunch of oil contracts for delivery. You know, when you play in physical delivery markets for commodities, you're expected to take possession of the asset or have cashed out before a certain point. After a certain point, you have to take possession. There were a lot of people that couldn't physically take possession, and they were panicking, and they had bought these futures contracts. They were long. They were about to accept oil that they couldn't, so they were like, oh crap, I gotta get rid of it. So the price of oil went below zero for a while. Crazy. Anyway, That had nothing to do with people didn't stop driving for a week. Like, nope, we're not driving. No. So all of these things are really unique and interesting, and they're fun to look at and understand. And the other cool thing is, probably outside of this room, there's 141 people here, there are not too many other people that really understand money and currency, inflation, deflation, debasement, supply shocks, demand pulls. These kinds of things are just not dinner talk, I guess. People don't give a crap. Then when they hear things in the media, they get it wrong because they really don't know what they're hearing. Media doesn't either. Those a-holes don't know. But then people are making financial decisions, hearing 30 or 40% of the words they're hearing. They don't even know what the meanings are. I'm like, how? That's like putting your fourth grade kid in charge of the propulsion division over at, it's JPL or something. Like, hey, are we sure that this 8-year-old is capable? Trust me, he can do it. Can he? I don't know, man. What are you in 6th grade? I don't know. Anyway, I just don't know. I think we're gonna wreck a lot of rockets with Tommy leading no, Tommy's fine. No, he watches he watches Paw Patrol. He'll be fine. Oh man, I'm not getting in that rocket. I'm never getting in that rocket. Matter of fact, you let me know when those rockets. I'm going down to the basement every time you guys test Paw Patrol Tommy's rockets. That's what people are doing with their finances. That's what people are doing with their portfolios. And to an extent, a lot of people, grown adults, are kind of YOLOing through passive indexation into markets they have no clue about. They don't know what they own. They're just indexing in. It's crazy. So anyway, at least 143 of us, through our bad USD experimentation and other things, will understand. Now let's see, Drux. With the belief of BTC as a store of value. Well, okay, I'm going to read your question, then I'm going to go through and break it down, because I don't think BTC is a store of value the way a store of value is kind of, whatever that means. I get what you're saying. Anyway, as the belief of BTC is a store of value, are you personally trading through cycles or just DCA accumulation? I am just accumulating Bitcoin. I am not selling or trading. Now, if there were in the United States markets where I could sell, there used to be, where you could sell options, cash secured options, or Bitcoin secured calls, so cash secured puts or asset secured calls, right? Then I would do that, and I would sell out of the money calls, and I would sell out of the money cash secured puts underneath Bitcoin, and I would just do that every week, and I was doing that every week. But let the platform that was doing that, Ledger X, they got not to be confused with the Ledger X devices, the little hardware devices. This is Ledger X, was a platform, a derivatives exchange where you could buy and sell options and all around Bitcoin and Ethereum. They got bought by FTX right before FTX crashed. Therefore, they were a dud. They never really had a lot of volume, and that was the problem. You couldn't get filled on larger orders. Like you couldn't sell contracts against 20 Bitcoin. They just didn't have it. And they had an institutional window, but everybody there was a bunch of yucksters. No one there was actually doing deals. I was on there all the time. I was like, hey, 10 Bitcoin, I want to do this. And there's nothing, just like crickets. So we need something like Deribit in the United States. We need an options exchange. And I'm sure all that's coming. We're not the only ones that want that. But that would be a way to actually monetize Bitcoin rather than it being this kind of dead asset, or at least a non-passive income generating asset. I don't believe Bitcoin is a store of value. I think it's a hedge against monetary debasement and government stupidity. It's a hedge against the stupidity of bureaucracies and the stupidity of central bankers and the stupidity of the banking system in general, just the legacy system. I don't think it's a store of value in the sense that every day when you check, you have more money than you started with, or the same buying, or it preserves buying power. However, It is, over time, the most appreciating asset in human history. And there's been no 4-year period where, had you bought it, you would have had less money. So if your interval is 4 years, like if you close your eyes, Rip Van Winkle, wake up, looking for every 4 years, then it is under that frequency of observation, it is a store of value, and a good one, because it does preserve purchasing power, and it increases purchasing power. I think it is becoming an electronic hard money, and because of its fixed supply, although a lot of that's kind of just jargon and whatever, because if you go down to the Satoshi level, there would be 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis. That's a lot of Satoshis, right? So, but this is an asset that should continue to increase in value indefinitely. I don't think there's a cap on Bitcoin. I think it is a great disservice. I was talking to someone in kind of they work in the insurance space, but they sell insurance and also investment advice, which I thought that was really sketchy. I was like, what do you mean investment advice? You guys aren't investment advisors? And they're like, oh, well, we have these products. I'm like, so you sell someone death insurance and then you sell them investment products? Like, yeah. I'm like, that's weird. I go, what do you guys, I know you can't guarantee a return, but what do you guys speculate your returns? Oh, anywhere between 8 and 10%. That's still a lot. That's a lot. It's cool. It's not a lot in the crypto space, but it's a lot to be able to tell your clients that's what they're going to get. I bet I would almost guarantee there's some dummy selling going on there where they don't really know what they're talking about. And I know this because this person did not know what I was talking about. And I said, do you guys, you can get exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum through ETFs. And they were like, what? I was like, well, you know what Bitcoin is, right? What? Well, not really. I don't really follow it. What do you mean you don't really follow it? How do you 16 years in not follow the most appreciating asset in human existence? I don't know. We don't follow it. What do you mean we? You speak for them? You guys, what do you mean we don't follow it? How do you not follow? What's that big ball in the sky? We don't follow it. You mean the sun, the thing that keeps humanity alive? You don't follow that? No, we don't follow that. So what is it? It's another passive indexation facility. My guess is they probably push people into Vanguard funds and crap like that, and then collect a fee, like a management fee. So yeah. On IBIT, no, because I don't own IBIT, so I'm not messing with IBIT, and I don't want to be. I'm not messing with all that. I have Bitcoin. I want to sell options against my Bitcoin. I have cash. I'm either going to keep it in JLP or I'm going to sell options. I'm going to sell out of the money puts against my cash. That's it. Period. I don't want a middleman. I don't want an asset that's tethered to kind of the price of Bitcoin, which IBIT is. It's great for people that are stuck in like investment funds and 401ks, but I don't want that. I want to sell calls against my Bitcoin, or I want to sell puts against my cash and immediately pocket that. I'm not paying a middleman. I don't want to spread. Nothing. I want to make a deal and it's done. Dude, I minted money on Ledger X for like 2 years. That's how I made all my clients money. We had like their portfolios were like 7 or 8 assets, and then just the weekly returns on selling covered calls and cash secured puts in and around Bitcoin over and over and over. Dude, that is all we did. And we crushed. Probably, I don't know. I'd have to go look and see what we did, but it was good. Every client got the capital appreciation of Bitcoin, and probably in a 2-year period, I bet we did 50 or 60%. over that 2-year period, 50 or 60%. And that was very conservative, way out of the money calls and puts. I mean, just there's so much money to be made. It sucks that we don't have those. Hopefully there'll be something like that here in America soon, something like Deribit, or just let us set up accounts at Deribit, something. Anyway, I don't know. It's frustrating. That's something that frustrates me quite a bit because it's just like money we're leaving on the table. But this administration is the one where we get it done, I think. Okay. So let's do this. Let's talk now. We're going to switch gears. I want to get into your brain boxes a little bit. Let's focus now. Let's go to another place. Hold on. Yes. Let's get into your brains. Let's talk here. I'm going to even adjust this. We've talked about cognitive bias. We've talked about paying attention to cognitive bias. One thing we haven't really hammered down is, okay, how do I actually create some habits or something to deal with cognitive bias? I mean, being aware of these biases is extremely important, but taking active steps to manage our behavior in and around them that's the next step, isn't it? So that's what we need to do. So that's what today we are going to do.
Hello. You're late.
What? It didn't go. Hold on. That's the best one.
You're bad at math, but I'm giving you an A+ in confidence.
Just doing what I gotta do.
Extra credit.
All right. Okay, do we want that one? We want Sunset Beach? Let me think. That's a little bit too upbeat, isn't it? Chill vibes? Okay, that's kind of brainish, kind of brainiac-ish. Brainiac-ish? That sounds like something you'd find in the ocean. It's brackish. Okay. Let me get to my notes. Ooh, this is a good one. All right. So today, is that too loud? Let me drop that down just a hair. Music is cool, but it can't be like the main thing. This is not a score for some epic. Okay. Let us talk about cognitive bias in a way perhaps slightly different than before. Okay. Let us talk about how to recognize and change the habits that are influenced by our cognitive biases. So we're going to discuss what it means to apply a game theory mindset in everyday life. This is the thing that made, in the end run, it made me the most money, was having a game theory mindset. But you also have to get out of the way of your cognitive biases. It's a demon we're always slaying. So my hope is that in the next 10, 12 minutes, you will understand cognitive bias a little bit more deeply, but you'll also have some actionable steps that you can take each day to avoid being, a slave, to avoid being in the service of your biases. You need to wrest control from them. You need to January 6th your biases. Man, we can say that now because everybody's free. It won't get us arrested. So, what are cognitive biases? They are mental shortcuts. They are rules of thumb that our brains use to process information quickly. It makes sense evolutionarily, right? You take a bunch of information, you curate it, you shorten it, you tighten it up, and you just take the main gleaming points. And that makes sense when you're running through the jungle and monsters and shit are chasing you. It doesn't make sense now. In the world that we live in, it's much more, well, it's supposed to be much more civilized and complex. But so, yes, shortcuts can be helpful in certain very dire situations, but they lead us to make snap judgments and they lead us to make irrational decisions, especially in areas like finance and investing, where reason and data, information, is what's supposed to drive our choices, right? So the common biases, and we've talked about these a lot: confirmation bias, loss aversion, anchoring bias, overconfidence bias. Every one of us are affected by each of these. So confirmation bias is the tendency to favor information that confirms your already pre-existing beliefs. Loss aversion, the tendency to feel the pain of losses more intensely than the pleasure or the benefits of equivalent gains, right? Winning is okay, but losing sucks, right? So anchoring bias, relying too heavily on the first piece of information, the anchor, when making decisions. And then overconfidence bias, believing that we are more capable or accurate than we actually are. Okay? Don't ever drink your own Kool-Aid or believe your own hype man. If you have PR people, don't start watching your PR people put out stuff that says you got your stuff right and then believing it. That's PR, bro. It's not the real world. So where we all are, no matter where you, I don't care if you're getting out of school, heading to college, entering the workforce, launching your first business, starting to manage your own assets, becoming your own asset manager, which you all are. The decisions you make will have compounding effects over time, right? And we've talked about this kind of like the kind of intellectual arbitrage and the compounding effect, compound interest of good decision making. So if you are constantly succumbing to biases, this is the bad side. That's like running up debt and only paying the interest. And then eventually you can't even afford the interest, right? So because you're missing out on potentially good financial opportunities, good investments, you're going to be damaging your credibility in negotiations, any partnerships you might have. You're going to be burning out by misallocating your time and your money and your currency units and your resources just in general. So if you're on the other side of it, if you develop a good game theory mindset, you can, it helps you think more strategically and more rationally about everything. And this propagates into your relationships and everything else. It's not just about money, but I mean, for what we care about, it's directly about money. And so this game theoretical mindset encourages you to anticipate outcomes based on the actions and reactions of other people that are involved, right? Those strategic interactions between players in the game. So whether you're deciding how much to save from this paycheck or choosing your DCA strategy, when you adopt a bigger picture perspective, one that accounts for all the various players and their moves, like, what would dummies do? What would intelligent people in the market do? All this kind of stuff. You're going to have better outcomes, period. So you have to introduce that game theory mindset. Game theory mindset should be what's underneath everything you do. It should be the foundation of all your decisions. Why? Well, because it's the foundation of economics, evolutionary theory, biology, physiology. It's already the math, even if you don't see it. So you might as well be thinking in those terms, right? Reduce things to the simple. Game theory looks at how people make decisions when the outcomes depend not just on your own actions, but all of the other people around you. So in finance, you would ask yourself, okay, what are other investors likely to do? What are dummies likely to do? Because they are other investors too. How might the market react to a particular piece of news? How do I want to respond, or how do I want to position myself now for when that news occurs, right? So the key principles of game theory, as you start to dig in, are the different payoff matrices. So before making a decision, you think about the different payoffs, the outcomes for different scenarios. If I do this, this is my likely payoff. If I do this, this is my likely payoff. If I do this, this one's better, right? I don't have to take as much risk, but it's a good payoff. So that's the payoff matrix or matrices. The next principle is strategic moves and anticipation. Strategic moves and anticipation. So you factor in how other people could respond to your choices, right? Playing chess. Okay, if I do this, they're going to do this. Therefore, maybe I don't do this, right? Because that could expose me to other things. Then you want to have a longer term view versus a short term view. So sometimes a short term sacrifice is worth a much bigger long term payoff. Like if you're holding crap assets. Sometimes it's okay to sell a loser and back a winner. Like I was thinking this yesterday. I was looking at dumping half of every single Singularity Net asset I have. I mean, all of them, cutting them in half. I have a lot of them because back when I believed in those idiots, just cutting the whole thing in half and putting it in JLP, right? A stable coin-ish fund, which also consists of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some Solana, that just tends to melt higher on a slow basis. At least I have some forward momentum at that point. I don't know what that idiot team over there at SingularityNet may or may not do. I only have the relative history, which is nothing. They'll do nothing. So therefore, my investment's doing nothing. So having a longer term vision, it might be time to take the sacrifice, take the hit, lose a little. I don't know how you quantify a loser losing on a loser, but yeah. But I want longer term payoff. I want to be thinking longer term. I want to be looking well past this hill. You know, when you're driving on a racetrack, you don't look in front of the car. You spend a lot of time driving out of the side, out of the windows, because you're looking at where you're going next, not where it's certainly not where you've been. You're not the Fed. You don't drive the racetrack looking through the rearview mirror. So here are some actionable habits that you can do to overcome cognitive biases, right? And we talked about this before, but these are things you can do on a day-to-day basis to reduce the influence of biases and begin to think more strategically so that you can employ your game theory mindset, right? So 1, you need to ask what if scenarios. Train yourself to consider at least three, 1, 2, 3, what if scenarios before making any financial or personal decision. Well, let's call it significant financial or personal decisions, okay? 3 what ifs. What if the market changes? What if my assumptions are wrong? What if a bunch of dummies YOLO into it? What if government regulators come step on it? What am I missing? What if I'm missing some other relevant information? 3 what ifs. 3. And in the beginning, you're going to write them down. You're going to have a journal. You're going to write them down. Old school. At least use a note. At least use a note in your phone. Okay, why does this help? Because this idea, this practice of what ifing a situation, it challenges your confirmation bias by forcing you to look at alternative outcomes and prevents you anchoring on your initial assumptions. So, and this is something you can do daily. Whenever you're going to act on a decision, like purchasing an item, it could be you're at the store, you're going to purchase something, whatever. Investing in an asset, could be a stock, it could be equity, it could be whatever, bonds, it could be crypto, or planning your weekend or whatever. Pause for 30 seconds and get out your little journal or your note and list the different outcomes in your head. At least 3 what ifs for every decision. Okay, and those of you that are putting on the weight, why don't you try doing that at dinner? With what, man, I have a tiramisu and a cheesecake from 2 days ago that I was going to eat. It was part of a dessert, but the person I was eating with was an idiot, and so I decided we weren't having dessert. And I just failed to mention that we had dessert. And I ended that meeting. I ended that tryst early, but I have those desserts and they're sitting in the refrigerator and I wanted them last night and I was watching a new series and it's awesome. It's the new one on Netflix with Rick and, with Rick Grimes, the Walking Dead one, because he survived. Damn right he survived. And Michonne, yeah. Anyway, I was going to eat those desserts. But then I thought, what if? I was like, wait. If I go eat those desserts, that's like another hour and a half of cardio I have to do. I don't want to do another hour and a half cardio. I want to go to sleep. I did not eat those. I drank coconut water. Yes, that's right. I made a good decision where I was about to make a bad one, because if I had laid into that tiramisu, it didn't stop there. But yeah, I was going straight to the cheesecake. Anyway, maintain a decision journal. Keep a small notebook or digital notes and where you will briefly record major decisions and your 3 what ifs for each one. So what you want to have in it is you want to have the date. You want to have what you decided. You want to have the reasoning behind your final decision. And you want to have any predictions or outcomes that you anticipate from the decision. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to put that as a note here in the chat because I think that's important. Let's put that. Bam. The date, what you decided, the reasoning behind the decision, and any predictions or outcomes that you anticipate from the decision. Okay. And again, why does this help? This habit, one, it creates some accountability, but two, it helps identify patterns of your biases over time. So if you see that you're always overestimating your success, you might be under the spell of overconfidence bias. So you write a single sentence each evening about one major decision that you made in the day. And then once a month or every 2 weeks, I think every 2 weeks is better, you go back and review your entries. And you can start seeing some recurring biases that you had. Okay. 3, seek out the devil's advocates. So ask a friend, a mentor, a family member to challenge your reasoning. I mean, again, if they don't know, if they don't have any subject matter knowledge, it's going to be tough, but at least listen, especially on major choices. Get their opinion. Doesn't mean you bend and sway. It means get their opinion. In game theory terms, think of them as different players with an incentive to prove you wrong. And this will help you see where your logic might not be purely accurate, or it might be flawed a little bit, right? You want to have concreteness in your decision-making. And so you want your assumptions to be concrete. You don't want them to be flimsy. So this helps because a lot of times we get trapped in echo chambers. So someone pointing out these contradictory facts can help us break this confirmation bias. Does that make sense? It gets us out of the echo chamber. You can do this. You can form like challenge groups with peers. I think the coolest thing, just use Telegram. You can jump on Telegram in the chat groups and just pose ideas. You want feedback? You're going to get some feedback. So once a week, you could have like a little group, right? And once a week, each person could bring a decision or an argument that they're working through, and then let everyone else question it from a bunch of angles, right? And you're going to see things that you probably weren't thinking about. But again, that's the whole idea of seeking out the devil's advocates. Their only job is to prove you wrong, even if they're wrong about proving you wrong. Okay. 4, set very clear if-then rules. If this occurs, then I do that. So before you enter into a situation that could trigger biases, have a plan. So if the token I buy falls by more than 10%, I will evaluate and reevaluate my position rather than panic selling, right? This people refer to this as a pre-commitment strategy in game theory, a pre-commitment strategy. So you're not going to react. You're going to pre-react. And then you're going to have another discussion with yourself, looking at all the available information. Say, did the information change? No. Does the investment still make sense? Maybe. Yes, whatever. And then you can go back through the process of making that decision. Have rules in place, right? Especially in finance. It reduces impulsive decisions, which were driven a lot by loss aversion and fear and all this. It avoids FOMO, latching on to crap that you really shouldn't. I had smart people asking me if they should start buying up Trump tokens. No, man. No. And then one thing you can do on a daily basis, you can write down 1 or 2 of these if-then rules for common scenarios like spending or savings or personal goals or like a new car, whatever. You can do these if-then statements and stick them somewhere visible, like in your phone. You can do them as a phone background, right? You can make like a background and put them as little post-it notes as a phone background. Kind of fun. Every time you turn on your phone, you're like, it's right there. Okay. Use pros and cons, like a pros and cons matrix with weighted values. Now, this gets a little bit deeper in the game theory side. So for those of you that are really into game theory, when faced with a choice, list your pros and cons, but then assign weights to them, like +1, +6, -4. Give them points. And then this is like a simplified version of building a payoff matrix for your decisions. And then you can look, and the numbers will tell you what your best likely choice is. It doesn't guarantee the outcome, but again, it's a way of evaluating things that are relatively like complex and gooey and opaque, and turning it into something that has some level of concreteness, right? And by constantly evaluating the magnitude of each pro and con and scoring them, you avoid anchoring, right, on one of those and instead you're seeing the broader picture. You're also seeing the spectrum of opportunity or loss. So you can kind of hone in on the area of decision making you should be in. And again, you can do this for one major decision every day. So even if you don't finalize your choice using this payoff matrix, your pros and cons matrix, the exercise itself gives you really good kind of perspective. Obviously, you guys want to have a long-term kind of cultivate this long-term awareness mentality. So recognize that investing is an iterative game. In game theory, it's called iterated or iterative. And it refers to playing the same scenario over and over, like repeated rounds of the prisoner's dilemma. And in life, you rarely make just one investment or one major decision, right? Same thing in relationships, your career, your finances, whatever. It's a series of decisions that build upon each other over time. So if a decision seems disadvantageous in the short term, but positions you better for future decisions or collaborations, it might be worth it in the long run. Small time setback for a big time comeback. I think that's what serial killers say, but also it works in finance. So reflect on the outcomes regularly. So pick a constant interval, maybe every Sunday or every 5 or 6 days, whatever, and set aside 15 to 20 minutes to reflect on the outcomes of your last time period's decisions, of your last week's decisions or whatever. Did I make decisions hastily or emotionally? Where might I have relied on flawed assumptions? How can I improve my process going forward? Right? And so this reflective process is a really good way to internalize the lessons and gradually reduce your biases. And over time, you start seeing these biases and these patterns and the types of mistakes that you make, and you learn how to avoid them. Does that make sense? And then invest with a game theory approach. So imagine you're deciding whether to invest. You got $1,000 that you're going to punt into one of these markets. Make a simple payoff matrix. Include outcomes like market goes up, market stays the same, Bitcoin goes down, Bitcoin goes, whatever. List your potential gains and losses, payoffs in each of these scenarios, and then how it might affect the rest of your portfolio. Try to anticipate other players. Again, you got to be careful because there's a lot of idiots in the market. It's a very low IQ market, but low IQ markets are full of what? Leverage, dummy leverage, nonsensical dummy leverage, counterintuitive dummy leverage, and FOMO in and out of assets. They react quick and they react stupid. So ask, if other people react differently, how's that going to affect the assets in my portfolio? How do I position myself best for that? And apply your what if scenarios. If Bitcoin drops 10%, do I hold it or sell it? If it climbs 20%, do I buy more? Do I cash out? What do I do? So decide, follow your pre-commitment rule, right? Decide your if-then triggers. Example, Bitcoin goes down by 10%. I'll research why it's dropping before making a move. That's the pre-commitment. That's not the move. Remember, you want to have your if-then triggers, but you want to have a pre-commitment to reevaluate the information first. Don't react. You need to act, not react. So by systematically thinking through possibilities and including other players, even less educated, mostly less educated, you're going to be less likely to let biases drive your final decisions, right? Like fear and greed and herd mentality and all the other kind of panicky behavior. So recognize common biases, know the big players like confirmation bias, anchoring, overconfidence, loss aversion. Adopt a game theory mindset as the foundation for all of your decisions. So think in terms of potential outcomes, the players involved, and the long-term strategy. Understand that this is an iterative process. Pose what-if scenarios, keep a decision journal, seek the devil's advocate advice, even from idiots. Use your if-then rules, pre-commit, so have kind of pre-committal ceremony so that you don't react or act. You reevaluate the information and then utilize those if-then scenarios. weigh the pros and cons, add numeric values to them so that you've created your own kind of payoff matrix, and reflect and adjust. All of our existence is an iterated game. We live in an iterative world, and regular self-review is pretty essential to regular sustained improvement. So, the quality of your decisions will determine the quality of your life. And we are always playing one or many games. If you have a game theory mindset and you're aware of these biases and you actively take steps to beat them into submission, you will win. And the prize is a dump truck of currency units. And guess what? They say you can't buy happiness. You can rent it forever. So there you go. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't do anything about poor and solvent drunk, strung on a meth, grifter ass grandmother who will definitely steal from you from the grave. Wouldn't do. And Brandon, wherever he is, however cold he is, it's gonna be chilly today. I better get the pool up to like 85 because it's only gonna be 79. What? Probably 80. It's always warmer in the valley. Anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Should be some fun shenanigans and goings-ons in these markets. It's a good time to be in these markets.
Terrified, wandering mind, the seams have come undone. You've been telling lies to these eyes as if they'd never seen the sun. Now you've let your guard down and your heart is exposed. Now you've let your guard down, but how could you have known that I'm the big fish round here? You're a small fish. I could make you disappear. You should know this. I'm the big fish round here. You're a small fish.